There is a ton of interviewing tips out there, but I'm going to share with you the only piece of advice that you need to know if you are looking to return to the paid workforce after your career break. And that is to own your narrative. When you confidently own your story, there's a shift in the dynamic from a passive interviewee to a captivating storyteller. And who would you rather hire? Someone who confidently owns their story or someone who's saying what they think you want them to say. And here is a very personal and embarrassing story to illustrate, yes, this is my illustration, the points. Back when I was a fresh faced 20 something year old, I started a new job in HR. In my very first week, that Friday was a half day for the company wide volleyball tournament. And being a formal, and being a former high school volleyball player, not that great, but I still had some skills. I was eager to show them off. So I went up for the spike, and as I am about to hit the ball, I hear it. I hear it. It is a rip. And I realize what happened. I split my pants. I split my pants in front of the whole company. But not just that. Oh, no, no. That would be one thing. But my underwear of choice as a young 20 something year old was a red thong with the word sexy bedazzled across it. As I came down, I was like, oh my gosh, I have mooned the entire company. I remember thinking that entire weekend, how am I going to walk in on Monday morning and be able to show my face? And the best part is, we actually started with a company wide Monday morning meeting. So everybody was going to be there. It wasn't like I could just sneak into my cubicle. I was so stressed about it. And then I just came to a decision. I said, look, this is my story, and I'm the one who is going to set the tone. So I walked in Monday morning and made some joke about testing the pants out that I was wearing to make sure that they were split proof. And you know what? Everybody smiled and started laughing. And it was in that moment that I realized the power of owning your story. And when you're returning to the paid workforce after a career break, there is an elephant in the room. And that is your time away from the paid workforce. Instead of looking at it as an obstacle, look at it as an opportunity. This is your chance to tell your story and take control of the narrative. And that is a powerful thing. Now, here are some ways you can do just that during the interview process. And I realize I've been doing a lot of pointing, so I'll try to calm that down a little bit. Here we go again. Number one is don't apologize. I have interviewed so many people over my HR career, and I hate to say this, but women apologize way more than men do. In fact, one of the last interviews I had, I interviewed both a man and a woman who were coming off of a career break. The woman apologized 3 times. Yes, 3 times. And I eventually had to stop the interview and say, there is no need to apologize. Now, the man simply acknowledged, yeah, I've been on a career break. This is what I've been doing. And here is why I am ready to get going and to work for your company. He never apologized. So you don't have anything to apologize for. So don't. In fact, according to a 2022 LinkedIn survey, 62% of employees have taken a career break. That means the majority of people have taken a career break. There is nothing that you should apologize for and nothing that you should feel awkward about. Number two is to make sure to practice your answer. Oh, here goes my hands again. Okay. Make sure to practice your answer. You know, sometimes when you think, oh, I've got this, it's up here, I'm going to be good. And then you start talking and you realize what you're thinking is not coming out the way that you had intended it to. That's why you should practice. When you've taken a career break, it's highly likely that it's going to come up in some capacity during your interview. Just be prepared. Have an answer that you know you are confident with and that you have rehearsed. So then that way, when it does come up, you can confidently answer it and move on. Number three is don't harp on the reason for your career break. You took a career break. So what? So do a lot of people. Keep it simple. A simple, I took a step back from my career to focus on family. And here's what I've learned during that time, which is very applicable to the position. Great segue. Or even, I took a step back because I had a wonderful opportunity to travel the world, and seeing all of the different cultures has made me a better, well rounded person. Easy, simple, easy peasy. Don't make the interview about your career break. Make the interview about how you are the best candidate for the position. And number four is focus on what you gained during your time away from the paid workforce. Simply saying, I took a step back to focus on family. And during that time, I continued to enhance my skills by volunteering as a volunteer coordinator for a financial literacy nonprofit, which is a wonderful stepping stone to this position, which also involves coordination. And you've just tied it all back around to why you're a fit for the position rather than the fact that you took a career break. So always, always bring the focus back to why you are the best fit. And I'm going to say this a lot, as you notice, and it's because so many candidates just ramble on. They ramble on about themselves, they ramble on about what they've been doing, but in no way do they tie it back to why I should select them for the position. So remember, the time you've taken away from your career does not have to be a hindrance. In fact, it can actually enhance it. And number five is don't feel obligated to answer questions you are not comfortable with. Now, all good interviewers should know to stay away from certain questions, but unfortunately, not all interviewers are good interviewers. Now, there are the very blatant questions which are just illegal. Are you pregnant? Are you over the age of 40? But not all of them are so cut and dry. There's going to be some that you're like, oh, that doesn't feel right. And if it doesn't feel right, don't answer it. If you're being asked questions about how do you plan to juggle kids with having a job, or are you able to find a babysitter if you have to work overtime? Nope. You do not have to answer that. And in fact, if you're feeling as though it's a little weird and odd, that's a red flag. And red flags mean run. Always remember the control is over your story, but also you have control with how you proceed with an interview. Don't feel obligated to answer questions, and don't even proceed with an interview if you're not comfortable with it. You have every right to end an interview. Interviews are two-way streets. And if the street is not going in the direction you want it to, then turn around. So there you have it. A few ways that you can own your story in an interview. One is to not apologize, because when you apologize, you relinquish control right off the bat. And you don't want to do that. Number two is to practice your answer. The more comfortable you are with your answer verbally, the more it's going to come across confidently and self-assuredly. Number three is don't harp on the reason that you were on your break. Simply state, yes, I took a step back for X reason, and move on. Number four is to focus on what you've been doing during your time. And number five is don't feel obligated to answer questions that you aren't comfortable with. Remember, no matter what your story is, you are in control of telling it. And when you realize that you have control, then you realize that that is a very powerful thing. Now, I hope you enjoyed my illustrations over here. And if you would like to learn more about storytelling in the job search process, make sure to check out my video here.